But go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say something I heard recently that, we talked about this when we were when I was complaining about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. And I said, how would you like it if Star Wars did a reboot? And you're like, no, it's not the same. It kind of, or how, basically explain the Star Wars piece and how we disagree with that, but you're okay with Lord of the Rings. You're like, no, that's the same universe. That's worse. And then I said, okay, let's a franchise. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned, I was like, imagine if right here and now, this day and age, Harry Potter decided to reboot the cinematic franchise and they wiped away the slate clean and started over, recast, new music, new designs, and it was just Harry Potter looks, sounds, and feels, and everything about it's different. It's a new, round 2, rebooted Harry Potter. It was kind of like, ooh, that's almost that's where I think maybe people understood me. It's like, okay, it's too fresh. I heard they're going to do that. I got an article sent to me from Trisha, who was on our show like 2 weeks ago, that said they're thinking about starting over with Harry Potter or rebooting Harry Potter with a completely new cast, same characters, new cast.
Well, I heard about the Harry Potter series that they want to do on HBO, which kind of goes into that. It's kind of like rebooting it, but I don't know how true that is.
So I don't know much. I think a Harry Potter series would be great, actually, because the 3 Fantastic Beasts movies didn't totally work out. So maybe it's time to venture into that.
It didn't really.
And that's the same thing. Again, it's the prequels. It's The Hobbit. It's like you start to go backwards, which is what Fantastic Beasts was, a prequel. And it's like, I get the world. It feels pretty cool and it feels right and it looks right, but it doesn't interest us as much because it's not the main characters, right? So it's almost like Harry Potter did the exact same thing. It had much less success. They're not nearly as revered as Harry Potter films are. Mm-hmm. Anyway, my point is, if they redo Harry Potter, I thought of why that might be. All right, so last summer I went to New York and took the kids, and we saw the what's it called? Whatever the Harry Potter Broadway show is.
Oh, the
Cursed Child.
Cursed Child.
Which was, honestly, I had no idea what I was getting into. I thought in my head it was going to be like a stage version retelling of the movie or movies, maybe put it all into, stretch the time out or condense the time rather. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but it was a straight up sequel to what happened. They're older and their kids are going to Hogwarts. I was like, it's kind of where 7 leaves off, part 2, which I was like, well, this is cool. And I could see them doing that and therefore recasting Harry Potter and Hermione and all the main characters, but as older people.
Yeah.
Right. Like now you would get kind of close within like a 5-year range of that, maybe 5 to 10 year range of the actors actually being that appropriate age, but they're still a little far off. So I could see if they did that, maybe that might be acceptable. Because you're going into a timeline where they're not quite the same.
Yeah.
But it would be like if you made the sequels for Star Wars and then you just recast Han, Luke, and Leia and didn't put them in there, which 20 years ago, that's what actually wanted to happen. I was like, oh, well, they're never going to come back, so we might as well just recast people. And, I'm not even sure in the end if that would have been good, but I think they're going to do that. And I think they're going to do some race bending because in the play, Hermione was African-American. I don't know if y'all knew that or not.
I knew that, yeah.
Okay. And I remember it made a lot of sense the way they kind of described her in the book. She described her as a Caucasian girl. But there was enough, I was like, there's no reason they probably ever couldn't just do a race change like that. And I think Hermione's probably the perfect one to do it with. So I imagine what will happen, though, is it might feel like a different canon if they do something like that. Because then it's like, well, this clearly isn't the same, They didn't say this actress is now this actress. That's where I think they'll draw the line. So what will they do? Will they truly reboot it? And it's like, because a reboot, people don't realize that very, very prominent Harry Potter theme, John Williams score, it shouldn't be a part of it if you're going to reboot it like that. It's Lord of the Rings reboot. It should not be the same music. Seems like there was another example. Oh, if they rebooted Star Wars, are you going to want a new score? Like, it would be wrong to keep the same score with the reboot. So that's why I'm not a fan of Rings of Power. I'm like, no, it's not even part of the same universe, so I'm not into it.
Yeah, but you know what? I kind of look at it as a perfect example also are the 3 different Spider-Mans. You know what I mean? They always go back to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, that kind of universe, that kind of soundtrack. Then you have Andrew Garfield. and you have Tom Holland, and they all have all different themes, all different, Spider-Man themes. Even the soundtracks are different, and every one of them, like it's everyone has their favorites, right? And Tobey Maguire will always be, in our hearts, like, oh yeah, that was the Spider-Man that I know and I remember. It's the same thing with if they did it with Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. What they've done with the show now, it's the same thing.
I
It's
don't
not
think
going
it's
to
the same.
it's not going to erase what we care about, what we think, what we hold true as what we think is the right story or
I think
whatnot.
I think there's a difference. I think, and you could almost argue superheroes are the next closest thing, but it's pretty common to reboot those. Star Wars has never rebooted. Lord of the Rings just did for the first time. Although it's fairly a newer franchise, but it's got like a very different. It's more like
it's
huge world.
It's a huge
it's
world with a lot of information and like
IP. Like Harry Potter is huge. I mean, they would have to redesign every fucking little thing down to like the wands, again, music. That kind of iconic music is going to be hard to change. Imagine if they ever reboot Star Wars and it's not a Star Wars theme, it's a brand new theme from some composer that's not even born yet.
Like think about like merchandising too. Like when you think of Harry Potter, you think of Harry Potter glasses, Mark. Like it's hard to like think of that being played by somebody else because Harry Potter's Harry Potter, Hermione's Hermione, Ron is Ron. I think it would just be hard to do that.
I think in time it works better because in time you can keep it under the same license, but just you recast people, but you'll keep the same design. A wand looks like the wand from the original verse, and the music sounds the same, stuff like that. But you start doing things like, look at Lord of the Rings. I mean, I haven't even watched it, but the preview's enough to let me know it's like those are different designs. I could tell it's a pretty place and it looks like New Zealand sort of, but that's a different architecture. That's I don't know. I worry, and that franchise is huge. You got the theme park, you've got, like you said, the video games, everything's got like a look and a feel to it that people are comfortable with, and I think you start changing stuff and it's gonna be bad. So if they decide to recast, probably safest they keep it familiar, is all I'm saying. So
I don't think they should recast. I would rather see continuation with their kids. And if they were to go down that route, I'd be cool with it.
I mean, they're all older now. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do it.
I'm pretty sure what I read. I'm gonna see if I can find that article because it was our friend Trish who sent it, and it was me going, shit, I didn't think they were gonna do that, but there it is. Let's see what I could find here. Y'all can keep going if you want. I'm just gonna look for something.
Well, regardless, I'm still excited.
It was a John Campia YouTube video. All right, I'll read you the title.
Okay.
Harry Potter reboot with full recasting coming soon. Rumors. All right. Well,
rumors. Yeah.
Still, that rumors sometimes turn into things, and like you said,
you're right.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So if it happens, I don't know. You make your own bed, right? Kathleen Kennedy took some chances. Now she's dealing with that. You want to really I think they should listen to the fans. If the vibe is, don't do it then. Figure out what it takes to recast them. I think Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher all came back after enough time, maybe a little too much time. But
yeah, I was gonna say, well, look what happened with that. So
maybe a little too much time. But let's not wait 30 years. It's that's learn.
Yeah,
they
waited too long. Yeah,
learn from when was the last Harry Potter movie? 2015.
2013 or 12, 2011.
2013.
Well, 11 or 12.
All right, so it's been over 10 years now. I'd say give it another 5 years tops, and then the cast might be like, y'all want to make $10 million? I could do that if no one's really hiring me right now. I think it's a perfect time to do it. Like
they had a little HBO special, like a reunion recently.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they make another.
Where I think they all talk out their asses.
Somebody wasn't invited to that actually, but.
They showed little clips of her 3 years.
The creator was not invited.
She was not invited. They showed interviewed clips of her from 2018, 2017, but not actually present day.
Yeah.
All right, so there you go. So that is an interesting point because the actors may suddenly draw a line and be like, I don't support that anymore. I'm not going to play the character. Bite me. That could happen.
That could
because of that little,
You're right. You're right.
Even though Mark Hamill did like her tweet, I saw. Just saying.
All right. Well, I think we spent a lot,
Yes.
like a lot more, like
One
longer
more
than I
time
thought we just spent
on Harry Potter, right?
Harry Potter.
That was a long time on
But
Harry Potter.
keeping in the same theme, when you